Damn it. Oh, boom.
Yeah, they missed out on that.
Y'all just missed it. Like Jen and I were doing our get loose and get silly prep. And I forgot to hit go live. Good morning. Look, Jen, we already got Mr.
Good
Hal.
morning, Hal.
Thank you. What's that?
He was early. He was already letting us know, like, I'm here. I'm ready.
Yeah, ready to go, Miss Amy Campbell. Amy, we have a extra credit assignment.
Okay.
New month. And last year last year, March.
Yes.
we realized that people have birthdays.
Yes.
And so now we're in a new month, and maybe we should celebrate, shout out to all the people that have a birthday in April. So folks, drop that in the chat so we can keep track of that.
Yep, because Amy's helping us keep track because we realized March was a very crazy month with our tribe.
Yeah, sure was. Then we got Kirby Coates, who was like all-star yesterday.
I know. Everybody got to like be with Kirby yesterday. That was like a huge deal. Like they got pictures with her and she like was out in the open, out not behind the curtain.
I forgot. I got to check with Adam because Adam had committed to making sure Kirby was showing up and showing out.
Ooh, okay.
Kirby, Mr. Buddy. Our friend.
Yes.
Yep. Dang, we got people on here. Miss Demetria. Good morning, Demetria.
Good morning.
George Hunt. How you doing, George? I think he made a shift recently. Yeah. Surely he's bringing immense value to whomever he's with. And hey, you remember this person?
Yes. Good morning.
Mr. Steve Morton. Just a little preview to the No BS tribe out there. Steve may be debuting the No BS tribe song live with us. He doesn't know that yet, but just in case. What's this?
Will what?
From
I know. I saw him on LinkedIn and he's like video, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's not in Brazil. He's in New York City.
He's in New York City. What's up, Will? Oh man, I think we scared Kirby. She's going back into her shell.
No. You're already out, Kirby. Like I've realized once you're out, like you can try, but like the light's right there. It's shining on you. No. You can't back in.
Yeah. We got Ultra Steve Turner. All right. His wife, Miss Sherry, the magnificent Sherry, her birthday is on April 18th. Miss Holly Totten. I think Holly, this might be her first time jumping on with this. I know Holly.
Welcome. I do not.
Y'all need help or love storytelling and warm-hearted, genuine, real human beings. Holly is one of those people. Okay. Y'all need to follow her.
Follow.
Yes, she is amazing. Oh man, look, Amy says, all right, y'all get to work. Send me your birthdays and we'll put you on the No BS birthday list. Yeah. Thank you, Amy.
Steve Martin doesn't look like he was in our pregame prep for that call.
Yeah. Oh, what did Steve Martin say? Like, oh, damn. Steve, just some advice. Like you can use this because I know some people that have used it. You can blame the internet, right? Like when we get to that point, you say like no bandwidth. My hotel internet went down. I've used it a few times. So just a little cheat code there. So Jen, thank you all. Keep the messages coming. What are we doing today?
Today we're recapping what we've done over the last 3 months, which was not the original plan because we didn't have one. So we're going to recap some of those things. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the transition from owning your impact and then what the next series is going to be about. So that's what we're talking about today.
Yes. And so that's the prompt that we have up on the screen. Let us know where you're from. Most of us know, but Will, like, where are you at today? Because you were in Brazil. Are you in New York? You Belize? Like, you're a world traveler out there.
Oh, Dr. M's already done that. He already let us know he's in India.
Whoop, whoop. Let's see, here we go. We got Dr. M. Check him out on YouTube. Will says, I'm everywhere.
Of course he is.
Oh, and then we got Carrie. I got to hang out with Carrie yesterday evening. We had a beautiful conversation. She says good morning, and I think she's in Melbourne, Australia.
What?
Yeah, like
Cool.
serious business there.
James Gable.
Yep,
Oh, we got everybody.
we got everybody. Jeremy, what's up? Oh, little teaser. Was it April 22nd, I think?
Yes.
There's
Wait,
gonna be
yes.
two
April 22nd.
crazy people coming out on the LCI COP
So
collaboration.
so it's the NOLA COP and the DFW COP joining together for an event that's going to be virtual, so anybody can get on. And it's out there. Jeremy's leading that, and it's like going to be amazing, and we get to facilitate it.
10. Oh, man, super excited.
Yep.
And look at this. We got somebody that I'm not even gonna ask. Like this bro, like this is early
Oh, and you can tell it's like you got emojis and you got this, and then you got morning. I feel like we're still like listening to us with some earbuds.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Jordan Christensen, he's in Omaha.
Nice.
10-4.
Richmond.
Yeah, we got Dana Person,
Mhm.
Wilmer, Minnesota. Wilmar. I'm gonna have to learn some new words here. Minnesota. I'll be up there here in the next couple of weeks. We got Mr. Christopher Moody coming back. He's coming in from Richmond, Texas. Out to the Wheels and Skills Car Show at Texas State Technical College. Man, they got an amazing program. Texas State Technical College, serious program, and they put out some. Ricardo Mendoza is the one person I know that graduated from there. We met. I was a plumbing foreman. He was a piping foreman. Now he's the production manager for San Antonio, TD Industries here in San Antonio. Super skilled man.
Nice.
So here we go.
Yes. Wait,
wins, let us know what triumphs, maybe even a little tribulation.
Yeah, go ahead, go back, give Steve Martin. Look at him. He's not backing down. You go back.
Oh, there he is. Good. He's ready to go, baby.
I got it.
All right, it's coming. And so we got to give y'all a shout out, right? So a win. I'm gonna go with my win first, and I'm stealing yours, Jen.
Great.
Right. I'm in San Antonio today. I'm at home. I'm in my cave here. And the win I have is I got to hear DJ Hootie Hoots presentation that he's going to be delivering today at TEDx. Mm-hmm. He's at a TEDx at Clemson University today. And man, I'm gonna tell you, like, I got chills because you hear him speak, and y'all, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get a whole lot of hoots because he's in the background. But that man's got heart, like straight up. And so I'm super excited for the impact he's going to have out there. And what that also means is I'm clicking buttons today, which is perfect because, I get to hide behind the work.
I get to put it right back on you.
So what about you, Jen? What was your win from this week?
This week was, let me think. Well, one, I think what I'm realizing in LinkedIn, because this week was a super busy week for me for work. And so wasn't on and probably not as engaged as I would like to be. But I mean, when I was on, it's like I'm watching, Amy and Adam, and it's just so many people, Dr. M and Kirby, like putting stuff out, Steve Turner, like so many people putting stuff out there on LinkedIn, and like it's like everybody jumping on and comments and likes, and it's just like this tidal wave that we're creating that we already know because we're here every 2 weeks and we get to see the amazingness of this tribe. But like what I got to see this week and watch how, I don't know, Kirby doesn't post a lot, and I'm going to give her so much love today because she was in an event yesterday, got some light shown on her. And I was just looking at it this morning, and it was just like got so much traction. And just because everyone's jumping on and just engaging with each other. And like, that's what we pitched 2 weeks ago. Not that it wasn't happening, but just watching the dialogue in the chat, if you're not on it, we'll talk about that at the end, but we have our group that, people are sharing things and people are talking in there, and just the engagement. It's like, it's more than even, I think we even planned for. It's awesome. So that's my win.
Yeah. Amy, she wants to see a recording of Adam's TEDx talk. So do we, Amy.
He said it could be out in the next couple weeks. Like he said, he told me next week, and I'm like, I'm not sure that's how that works, but it'll be out. It will, and it's like I'm gonna second Jesse. Jesse, I'm gonna second Jesse because it's like it gave me. There's parts of it that like I got chills listening to him deliver it. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, straight up, like it's solid. We got a win coming in from Jeremy Atkinson. He says. Getting to meet and talk with Brian Melcher with Field Verified. Yeah, that guy's got some energy, huh?
He is solid. I got to meet him in person when I was in Phoenix, and he is solid. I mean, he is solid gold.
Boom and boom. So keep them coming. Support going on in the chat. Love that totally. And so we want to reflect, right? We're going to reflect on this year. We launched No BS with Jen and Jess in January. Was it January?
Well, it was like the end of December. I think we created the platform, and then we had our first No BS show in January. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and we kind of created it during a crisis. Do you remember that, Jen?
Gosh, yes. December was a crazy, like my house flooded, and so it was like a disaster. Like it was dealing with a bunch of craziness. Yes.
But it worked out because you and I were able to sit down. Well, first I was able to sit down with the superstar, cameo superstar, Miss Alex, and kind of start the rough draft of the banner and the branding. And then, you came in and said, no, like, we're
not using that photo. No.
Yeah. It was super fun, but we got to be professional.
Yes.
And then we picked a topic from a survey that we had put out to the No BS tribe, and we got a whole bunch of recommendations, and the one topic that we got that we landed on was owning and identifying your impact.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we talked about it yesterday on our little pop-up on Friday evening. So y'all, Buddy was there, everybody that was there, thank you for being there. And just warning, that's what we're going to do. All right. We're going to do a pop-up every so often the week before the live stream, just to, share some information. So y'all can find that on the page on LinkedIn. I think it was on YouTube also. And so what we were describing yesterday was, we have this kind of idea that's maybe one or two steps into the future.
Mm-hmm. And
we didn't plan for it to take us all the way through the first quarter, but it did. Now, the primary reason, and I'm going to share this because I want to give love to the No BS tribe and help. And like, if you don't know, you need to know. Y'all are tremendous contributors to what is going on here. Like, more than tremendous. Like, this thing would not be happening without you. And so as we go with the conversations and the feedback and the after parties, that informs us, okay, there may be a few more conversations to have. And so what we wanted to do today was wrap up this conversation around identifying and owning your impact, and then talk about the next conversation we're going to go into, which we're not exactly sure what that's going to look like, except that we're going to be talking about it. So we'll get to that later on today or this morning. Man, we got a bunch of wins coming.
Okay, share.
So we got Jordan Christensen. He says, hanging out with the Hoots. He hung out with the Hoots Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in Omaha.
Nice.
We were doing a TAC train event. I heard great feedback, Jordan. Yes. A little bit jealous, right? Like everybody's hanging out, and I'm doing.
Wait! Look at Buddy's though.
Buddy coming up. Oh, and it was on a Monday. Oh, I didn't even think about that. So thank you, Buddy, for that. Buddy says my win was to get a hug from Jesse in person and share words of wisdom early morning. Yeah, he was the one slanging all the wisdom, like straight up. Thank you, Buddy. Will, he says, being here with kind, caring, funny, smart humans. And shout out to Will. Y'all, if you're not connected, you should do it. The message of kindness it just flows straight every time he shows up. It's about kindness, showing up in a kind manner, being better humans, and appreciating and honoring each other, one another. Thank you, Will. Dr. M, man, he was in San Antonio and I missed him. Son of a gun. Dr. M, I'm in San Antonio, but you know, the way things work. 2 weeks ago, he was doing his episode, Cadence, Life in the Fast Lane with Mark Carnell. He loves Eagles. The tag is their number. Check him out, the Dr. M podcast in YouTube. And we got a bunch of wins. One more win and we'll get back to it. So win for the week from Miss Megan Coles, keeping my promise to Hoots and being here. Being here right now. Laying on the pressure. Okay. So please keep them coming. And so this question is like, what takeaways have you had? I know we got a bunch of folks that are returning that keep coming and hanging out with us, which is super fun because it's like we're gonna hang out with all our pals today. What takeaway have you had over the course of this year from being engaged? Keep the wins coming, keep the takeaways coming. We'll fit them into the conversation as we talk, as Jen and I go and reflect on this year. Yes. So we can close the book and move on to the next one.
Yes.
So Jen, do you remember like the first couple conversations and what that was like?
Yes. So we started owning your impact was like the topic, I think, that got brought to our attention. And we thought, well, before we can like own it, we probably need to talk about how do we identify it? How do we even like know what that impact could be before we can like, hey, I'm going to take this, I'm going to wear it. It's going to be something that I can, I can brag about, or I can shine a light on, or I can contribute to other people because of it. So I think our first one was identifying that impact and what that looked like, and kind of doing a little bit of self-reflection, thinking about the things that we bring when we show up. And so that was, I think, the first one. And then again, we transitioned into, okay, now we kind of know what those superpowers are. Okay, now how do we show up to be able to elevate them and be able to help people with them?
So you use the word people.
Yes.
And how important are people in this impact idea?
They're everything.
Because
I mean, again, and it's funny, Adam's TED Talk, which we haven't heard yet. We have, y'all haven't, but it's so ingrained in what he's saying is that everything we do, we take the people part out of it, and it's like, what is it? And so, in the impact piece of when we think about ourselves and we think about the people we interact with and the connections we have and the relationships we have, like the impact we show up with, the impact they show up with, and then what does that give and take look like? And what does that sharing look like? And what is that, again, what is that maybe starting to, okay, I think I see these things. And again, Kirby, I love you more than you even could know. And just watching you over the last, 3 or 4 months and where you were and starting to see and talk about these things, but also how you're showing up now, like being able to see that transition and see how it is impacting the people in this tribe. It's like that's the reason we're here. Like Jesse and I said, if we can impact one person, then we're doing what our purpose is.
100%. And we got some impact comments coming in.
Okay, do it.
So Miss Amy Campbell, if y'all missed her, you can see her on the previous conversation. Amy says her win for the week is while listening to Learnings and Missteps. That sounds familiar.
What's that?
That's the podcast that I get to listen to myself. I mean, I get to enhance the image of careers on the trades on. While listening to Learnings and Missteps, I realized that I held a connection to All-Star Hoots where I could give him a gift that no one else could. She sent him a message with it and made him cry on the airplane. And she cried in the car due to his response.
Okay, let's stop. Can we just stop right at that point? So a big piece of what we've created and a big piece of the space that we are trying to grow and the space that people keep coming into is the vulnerability and the trust. Like those are words that you and I, when we started, that's the everything else can go to the wayside. Those two things are the most important thing: the vulnerability and the trust. Are we showing up and not, showing up with water skiing on the surface. Like, are we showing up and willing to go deep? And are we creating a space that we can trust the interactions, and we can trust that someone's not going to come and attack us, weaponize things, stuff like that. Like, those two words are huge. Just reading that comment. Again, 50% of our group, looked at the statistics because Jesse's got them all, are in the construction industry. 50% of this group. And I think it's up to like 430 something. 50% are in the construction industry. We don't talk about crying. We don't talk about feelings. We don't talk about emotions. What are you talking about? Yet, that's what's happening.
Yes. Yes. And Buddy coined the concept of allergies.
Mm-hmm. Hashtag allergies.
Hashtag allergies. And so Buddy brings up another point of impact. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm looking for Jake. So Jake brings up a point of impact. His win for the week was he was able to grab my behind, and he bought me dinner, and he did. Well, we were all there, Jen. Yeah. That was super amazing and impactful in a different way. Mm-hmm. Carrie's art, right? It's a win of the week, but to me, that's resonating as impact, because she and I, we had a conversation, and again, like, we just don't know sometimes the impact that we're going to have on people, and the enormous impact that we can have when we're vulnerable and when we're authentic, right? And we're just one human being connecting with another human being, because that's what we did. That's what Carrie and I did yesterday. I was not trying to help her or fix her. I was just trying to appreciate her and share space with her. And she says, like, we helped identify some key pivot points in her life. And she says, thank you. I say, you're welcome, Carrie. I appreciate you too. Dr. M says he loves the conversation we had when we spoke of person influence one's life, like that one person. That
was a tough one.
That was.
And again, Brian and I have had conversations since that one, and that one just going. It was a very heavy episode for Brian and I, and then going back and listening to it, and again seeing the vulnerability, feeling it again, like that one was heavy. So that was a good one, because Brian and I, what we were able to experience and share with you, and then some of the conversations that stem from that, it was one of my favorite, Dr. M, but it was also one of those that, like, ooh, I showed everything on that one.
It was beautiful. When I was reflecting on that conversation, I shared about my brother, Renee, who's a very important person in my life. He's had gigantic influence on me. And I've shared that a bunch of times. And early on, I would get emotional. But man, I got like severe allergy stroke when I was talking about it. And I'm like, I think you and I talked about it afterwards. And so question to the No BS tribe out there, like, for me, my assessment was, after we had that being in that space with you and Brian, and just hearing the love and the reality of what you were sharing and bringing digitally, right? Like, we're on opposite sides of the state, and there's people scattered all over the world that are hanging out with us. That emotion bled through and put me in a very sensitive, delicate space. And it was pretty damn profound, again, because none of us are sitting next to each other. And very few of the tribe members have had direct person-to-person contact. But the vulnerability and the trust that is growing here is amazing. And Steve Martin, the magnificent marketer, contributors, right? Hashtag contrib 100%. That's what it's all about. Yes. We got some. Oh, look, we got a new comment coming in. Anson says, love what the tribe is doing for the people side of the industry. So overlooked topic. looking for insights on entry-level workers, skills and thrills from Jesse the Man on futurebehindEveryEmployer.org podcast. So that's another preview. Anson Green, I got to meet Anson Green serving on the Texas Workforce Committee. I think it was, I don't even know the name of it, but it was, I got to learn, got to hang around with super smart people. They were making big impacts for our industry, for workforce development specifically. It was a 2-year term. And Anson has since then continued to have his ripples of impact out there in the world. And now he started a podcast, and it's Behind Every Employer podcast.
Nice.
And he and I, we're going to chat about, the experiences I've had and what we can do to better appreciate the men and women out there that are doing the work and help develop them. And if y'all want like secret cheat codes of how to develop amazing workforce development programs for whatever age, whatever industry, Anson Green, he's got the hookup, like straight up gangsta. He's got them all. Love the tribe. So we talked about owning your impact.
Talked about identifying and talked about owning.
Yep.
And then we did have like a middle one before we went to the who's the greatest contributor in your life? Who's the one that's impacted you? So we had the middle one, and I don't want to skip it because I think it's important. So we had an episode where we talked about the 2 movies. We talked about the Encanto movie, and we talked about Rise of the Guardians. And again, cartoon movies, oh, that's great, kid movies, whatever. But I think the point that we want to make sure that y'all get, because I know we got it, is there's so much stuff going on around us, and we sometimes like just breeze through it. We just kind of dismiss it, and we don't think about all the things that can impact us and all the things that we can go and see and watch and go, ooh, like I didn't think about that in that perspective. And so those movies we brought up, and we had some amazing conversations. So if you're new and you didn't watch that episode, go watch it, because there were so many good conversations with, again, people in 50% construction, 50% all over, doing all kinds of amazing things, talking about 2 animated movies. And like, what are you talking? But it was like the discussions were so magical. It was crazy.
Yes. Well, and for me, when you and I talked about the idea, it was like, yeah, duh. Because I know for me, when I watch movies, like serious. Have you ever seen Kung Fu Hustle?
No, but I need to now.
It's you got to watch it. It's a Kung Fu movie. It's kind of a Kung Fu comedy movie. Like amazing Kung Fu stuff going on. And I cried when I watched that movie. Like not the whole way through, but there was a point in there that the pollen got heavy. And so I know for a fact that when I watch movies, they evoke some sort of feeling, some sort of experience that I've had in the past that, it's repressed or whatever, maybe just forgot about it. And so you had originally, before we even started talking about
like 3 months ago, I'm like, Jesse, you have to go watch Rise of the Guardians, watch it and tell me which character do you resonate with. And then you did, and we had a great conversation. And then we started, and then I pushed Adam to do it. He kind of pushed it off for a while, and then he finally did. And it was like cool, because he was like, okay, cartoon, maybe I'll watch it with my kids, whatever. And he finally did. And it was like, we had an entire early morning conversation just about the freaking cartoon movie.
Yeah, we sure did. And again, so as we looking back on the first 3 months of No BS with Jen and Jess, we're really high level. It's looking at the different things, the different elements that contribute to identifying and owning our impact. And, most of it was people.
Mm-hmm.
That this conversation about movies was a little different. But again, the intent is to elevate awareness.
Yes.
When we're taking this stuff in, there's, to me, what I call them whispers, right? I will receive the whispers that inform me or maybe kind of shine a light on an area that I should go and explore and think more about.
And those whispers started like just us talking.
What do you mean?
Well, I think our paths had crossed a little bit, and we kind of interacted with each other, but didn't really talk. We didn't really have a discussion. And so I think then, again, some back channel conversations on LinkedIn. And we just kind of crossed each other's paths, commented on each other's stuff. And then I believe you called me, or you pitched something and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you about this." So I can't speak to your whispers, but I just know that's how, like, we just started having a real conversation on the phone.
Yes. And so, like, I'm officially, I've never been diagnosed as being crazy, but I know I exhibit some of that behavior. But when I refer to the whispers, it's the signals that I get. Like there's an idea that comes into my head that I know is not necessarily my idea, because I think about things differently. But every now and then, based on interactions, based on what I'm reading, based on what I'm listening to and seeing, something that'll kind of all converge, and I'll say, okay, I need to do something about it. The only one thing that comes across clearly is the next thing I should do. And when I don't act on it, what normally happens is it eats away at me just a little bit. But what normally happens is the perfect situation to have birthed that idea presents itself, and I don't do it. And I know it, like, damn it, that's what that was back then. And so now I put a lot of energy into honoring those ideas and those whispers and taking action on them. And this is 100% proof that when I act upon that calling, amazing things can happen. And It's not me, right? It's totally not me, because I would have rather had coffee and some Little Caesars deep dish pizza that day, because that's easier. But reaching out to you was a little uncomfortable, and pitching the crazy idea about 5S in relationships was also a little uncomfortable. But look where we're at now.
Yes.
So Steve Martin shares a win. He says his huge win, finally getting words on paper to match the melody that was dancing inside his head for over 10 years. Hashtag dance of reflection. And he's tuning his guitar for it. It's coming, baby. So what was the other one that we talked about? So we talked about the movies, and the recommendation there is, when you're out there, pay attention to those little delicate signals that you're getting, because there's beauty there. Will says the callings are real. And listen to that inner Jesse. Watch out.
Inner Jesse.
You win. You got that one. Jesse Land. Welcome to Jesse Land, folks. Here's another thing, that calling that Will's talking about is when I've ignored the calling, it causes me way more stress than acting upon it. Like, it becomes a detractive energy. But when I lean into it and get a little, let's give this a shot, a totally different experience. And I'm able to contribute in a more selfless manner, in such a way that impacts people long term. So I can transform into a contributor.
So you said something that I don't want to skate over before we move on, is when you were telling your story about the whispers and the callings and things like that, you said, I just needed to do the next right thing. I just needed to do the next, what's that next right thing? And so again, just because I have an amazing little girl, 2 of them, that watch a lot of animated movies, the Frozen movies that Anna and Elsa, in there, one of the troll is like, when they're very overthinking, what do we do? What am I supposed to do? And just really stress, just do the next right thing.
That's it.
That's in the movie. And so you said it, and it's like, not because you need to go watch another movie, but they're good movies. But we get so in our head. We get so, okay, is it right? Is it not right? What, overthinking it to the point of almost paralyzing us, because we are like, we want it to be perfect. We don't want to screw up. We don't want to look bad. We don't want to fail. Like, all those things go in our head. and then it stops us from making any progress. So instead of overthinking the big picture of everything, what's the next right thing? What's the next right thing that will keep us moving forward? Like that's huge.
Just one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just one thing. That's it. Dana she's bringing it. She says, isn't it true that the risk you take with the uncomfortable conversations, being vulnerable, that is where the magic happens?
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. Have you ever walked away from a conversation where you were guarded and protecting yourself, and then feel like, son of a gun, that was a total miss?
Yes. And I think that's normal for us. I think we all, again, there's some people that have the superpower of being able to kind of get there quicker. I was not one of those peoples. I come in with my armor. I come in with my protection. Again, part of that's past hurts, past failures, past, judgments, criticism, whatever those are, that I wear with me when I show up. And so I've got this armor around me and walls that it's like, you're not going to be able to do that to me. And the crazy thing is again, with you and the people that we surround ourselves with, it's like I don't even know what happened. I just felt like the emperor with like nothing on. I'm just like, what happened? How did I get here? And so, yes.
What's going on with this stuff? This is crazy. Well, so it seems like this whisper idea, I'm feeling less and less nutty.
Yay.
Is resonating out there. So Amy says, Will Sullivan, I'm working on aligning with mine currently. Thanks to the No BS tribe, the calling, ideas, whispers, and visions are definitely real. Man, yeah, that's amazing.
Yes. What else? I think
Kirby says, whispers and delicate callings, what are those? Mine come in the form of excited Jesse texts. I love that.
I love it.
That's a fair warning. Like, if you want to connect, we're going to connect. Like,
yes,
it's in a light touch.
It's early, it's late, it's on the airplane, about to have to get off the phone. It doesn't matter. Like, you're going to get random whenever Jesse's got a thought. It's like right there.
Okay, gotta go back. I love y'all. I love y'all for tolerating me. Will says, Amy Campbell, our inner voice starts as a whisper. Yes. Then starts screaming when we ignore it.
Yes.
Find a way. Ooh, I think this piece is for you here, Jen. Find a way to be still and listen. What do you think about that? Thank you for calling her out, Will.
I think absolutely that you can pull it back up again. I think that I need to just read it again. I suck at that. Like I suck at just stopping. Number one, because I just feel like when I'm moving, I'm making progress. And when I'm making progress, then I'm adding value and I'm bringing value. And again, when you're doing that, the focus is outward. And I know that because, that's how I roll. But I think what this tribe has helped and what you've helped and what Adam's helped and the people that are around me that I start to interact with, I realize like there's also value inward. And for me, as much as progress and movement help with that outward impact, for me, being still and stopping is when I'm able to have that inward impact. And I've struggled with that my whole life, and I am still struggling with it, but I'm trying. So
yes, you're more than trying. You are working on it, and I know I have evidence that you are working on it, and it's amazing. Like we all have space to grow, and I was reminded by Will's comment. I got the idea of the whispers and the screams from Oprah Winfrey. It's we weren't hanging out. I've heard her say it on a show or something. And what I remember hearing was, if you ignore the whispers, you will cause them to scream. Like those were the exact words. And as I reflected back on my life in positive and painful ways, when I ignored the whispers, I made them bad boys scream, like serious scream. And so now I don't want to be screamed at anymore. So I try to pay attention to them as much as I can. And I'm totally flabbergasted that I can't spell that word, by the way, that this idea about whispers is resonating so well. So Steve Martin, his second single, is going to include the lyrics of Calling Whispers. Thank you, Steve Martin. We got a new hashtag.
Oh, Amy, that's gold. Good job.
And then Jordan's brave. He's putting his out
He's
into
like,
the
I'm here.
He's like, all right, give me a shout. Let's see what you got. 10-4. I'm gonna put that one in my phone, and be careful because other people may do the same. And yes. Will says, yes, Oprah, 100%. Boom. Okay. Fact check. Got it going on.
Okay. So Jesse, I know we're going to move on because we're good. We're good on time. I'm going to put some stuff back on you and maybe get you a little bit uncomfortable. And so we're talking about reflections. And as much as I struggle with this, and I own that, and I'm trying to get through that a little bit, trying to do better. I know you kind of have a cadence. You have a thing that you do that helps you with reflection. But before you kind of dig into that, can you go back maybe before you established that cadence and how you reflect on kind of the craziness or maybe the bad decisions or things that were happening in your life because you didn't have that time with yourself?
Yes, I will. And I'm going to start the conversation with Will's comment that says, unleashed Jesse works too. And that's kind of trying to be a little funny, but there's also there's a lot of reality to that. Mm-hmm. So I've shared many times about my wrestling match with addiction. And I remember early on, a lot of people, it was a popular question, like, what's your addiction? What is it that you're addicted to? And it's more. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It really, it could be chemical substances, yes. Experiences like marathon running, work, like when I'm running unleashed, I live in addiction. And what that looks like is, it may look like I'm operating like a normal person or even a high output person, right? High aptitude person. But when you zoom in and look at like a life, like the yard, the weeds are 6 foot high, the truck's a mess. I haven't made any connection with my family. I'm not eating well. I'm not sleeping well. My clothes are in piles, and the only way I know it's clean is if I sniff it. Like, things are so out of order, but that one thing that I'm focused on is really, really growing and shining. And so when I do that at work, it's a very good place for me to hide. Now, how does that relate to the question that you asked? It relates in this way, because I know that I want more. I love to feel and experience, and I want it all the time. And when you and I started with the 5S in relationships, and it even kind of started back with the podcast, with the Learnings and Missteps podcast, the response that I was getting from people was awesome, right? Like the recognition, the appreciation, the growth, the celebrity, if you will, like that feels really, really good. And I want more of it, whatever it takes. And like, back to the unleashed, like for real, whatever it takes to get that attention, good attention, bad attention, it's attention, baby. And I want more. So when we started the 5S in relationships in the Learnings and Missteps, I also started working with Princess Kim White. And she introduced this idea to me as coffee time. And so what that is I spend an hour a day with myself, like all the gadgets turned off, and journaling. And I've always kind of been a journaler, but it was just, kind of happenstance here and there and whenever. It wasn't a regular practice. Yeah, I've done meditation, and it's very similar to meditation, except that me sitting down for that hour is really recentering with myself. What am I experiencing? How do I want to contribute? What am I learning? What's going on around me? And that was like super, super important when you and I started working together, because the chat, right? The No BS tribe, before the No BS tribe responded, you and I would get off the call. It's like, oh my God, like I didn't know this was going to help anybody. It was just an idea. And it would have been very easy for me to continue chasing that sentiment, right? We're live streaming every other week. And so what would that look like? It would look like live streams every single day so that I could just get that fix, right? Give me another hit, give me another hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that did go through my mind. We should do this once a week. Well, maybe we should do 3 or 4 times a week because I wanted to chase the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result of really committing that time and the idea that Kim gave me of having coffee with me, and the way she framed it was, Jesse, what you need to do is just like when you're interacting with somebody one-on-one, you give them 100% of your attention. You're there connected with them. Everything else goes away. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I do. He said, okay, I need you to do that with yourself. I was like, oh, damn. Okay. And so what I've like lately, and it kind of evolves whatever that focus is, but lately where it's been is we're in a new space. I like this experience that you and I, Jen, are having with the No BS tribe and the Omniverse and all the stuff that's happening. It's a brand new space for me. And because I know that I can run unleashed and I know what that looks like, I'm trying to understand what are the things that we're doing that got us here. And you talked about it: vulnerability, honesty, trust, transparency. That's what's getting us here.
Yep.
And what is happening and how can I respond to it? How should I respond to it? And how can I shift it? Or, it feels like clay. Like, how can I arrange it such that it allows me to serve in a greater capacity? And because I've designed my life the way I have, I get to choose how I'm going to serve. And now, like, figuring all that out happens during my coffee time.
Whoa. Oh, so I love that. And so many things were triggering in my head when you were talking, because you were just like, where do I focus? What do I do with this? Like that, those are things you said. And I want to give credit where credit is due. So you had an idea, you brought it to me. The 5S in personal relationships, which again, if you haven't watched those, go watch them. But we had a semi-plan kicking that off because we both work in construction and we both know the issues in construction. And we know there's a lot of things out there that we wanted to try to relate to. So that was our goal when we kicked it off. But you can, I know I can own this. You can own it if you want to. We were very concerned about the softness of the things we were going to talk about and the emotional and the feelings and the things that had to do with people when we started the conversation. So we were super intentional. And if you've watched them, you'll see the transition. The first and second episodes of like making sure we talked about things inside the gate and outside the gate. Like we were super intentional because we didn't want to lose anybody and someone go, oh, that's that squishy, soft stuff. What was created and what the feedback we got and how every one of you showed up and what you wrote in the chat and what the follow-up conversations it evolved into where we are now, like super intentional. And I'll own that's not how we thought it was going to go, because we were talking to a lot of construction people that's not how we show up. But this was created because of the people that just showed up.
Yes, 100%. And they showed up for real. So a couple of points that have come up. Jordan says, pointing out, right, the tortoise and the hare story. Everybody knows the story. So you slow down to go fast. And James Gable shares, my takeaways have been really hard to place into words. He's been running from the word vulnerability. Now he's walking slowly and not running. And the No BS tribe has helped him face that and grow. Still haven't made it to the other side yet, but he's on the way. Like, uncommon communicator right there.
And you're saying you're not there, but you're putting this out there, James, and you're owning it. Like it's on our screen right now. So like, I hear you, but like you're owning it right now. You're putting it out there.
Yes. It is this kind of vulnerability that blew my mind at the very beginning. I was like, oh my God, people are like sharing real on the internet. Like, For me, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But thank you, James. Thank you for being vulnerable. And folks out there, the Uncommon Communicator, check him out. He's got a podcast and they talk about communication, which there may be one or two people that have experienced problems as a result of less than awesome communication. And there's some good nuggets out there to take from Mr. James Gable.
Yes.
Whoo. Steve Martin says the transition from more to better has been the key to my lean continuous improvement career, and it applies to other areas in life. Yes. And every now and then I get caught up and I want more better. It's got to be more better. But better is the way.
Yes. And shout out to Steve, because Steve is one of those that he didn't jump on at the beginning. He was just scrolling LinkedIn and ran across us like randomly, and we sucked him in.
Yes. And then he's been tearing it up with the with marketing out there. And here's a takeaway for folks. Y'all probably saw it, but just in case, Will Sullivan says, focus on the positive. We learn to recognize negative triggers, pay attention to them, unleash the positive stuff. You got this, Jesse.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what happens when I'm sitting down with myself and being super focused and appreciative of this vessel that I have, is I get to see I'm feeling this, but what caused it? It was that thing. And being just being aware of that elevates my existence. I can sleep more now because of that. So what do we have? We got about 24 minutes coming on.
So we've kind of talked around some of these. So we went through the movies and the outward things that impact us. Then our next episode, which Dr. M touched on, was who's the person that's made the greatest influence in your life. And we touched on that a little bit earlier. Talked about the two things is, one, who is that person? And, we were very clear on who that person is for each of us. But also, does that person know it? So we talked about that a little bit in that episode, because very important, not just how someone's impacted you, but have you communicated that back to them? And then the last one, which we had amazing people on the screen with Yesenia and Amy and Kirby, were who are those 5 people that you surround yourself with or you spend the most time with that have impacted you. So again, I know last time we were rushed a little bit. And so I think we have enough time, again, just to go through those people, who our people were. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but we want to make sure that they get credit and they get recognition, because I know each of us have been impacted by each of those individuals a lot.
Yes.
So do you want to go first?
Yes. After I share Buddy's comment. So Buddy says slowing down for him is hard. I might know one or two people that have the same problem. I saw only those who care about you can hear you when you're quiet. Keep listening for those voices. There it is again. Buddy dropping bombs.
That's real. That's a quote. That'll come out, Buddy. You're going to get credit for that. That's going to be posted at some point.
Oh, yeah. Gangsta.
Yes.
So, yeah, my 5, I rattled them off the last time. And so my 5, you and Adam, oh my God, Renee was the 3rd one. Kim White is the 4th one. And I am the 5th one, which of course, right. There's there's a little ego there, but it's true. And the reason I'm the 5th one is exactly what I just talked about, right? We just talked about getting centered, having coffee with myself, understanding and evaluating the whispers. When I don't spend time with myself, intentional, focused, dedicated time with me, I get off the tracks, and it's fun, but going back and repairing all that damage ain't so good. And the way I came up with my 5 is just a simple evaluation of who do I spend the most time with right now. If it was the 5 most impactful people in my life, that's a different list mostly. But it's who are the 5 that I spend time with right now. And that is not an accident. It used to be an accident. Like, and so here's like the reason I felt the conversation was important for us to have was for two things. One was because you get to pick. And I know for me, when I discovered that by not picking, I'm creating problems for myself. When I discovered that, I was like, oh my God, like, come on, fool, like be more selective. And when I say be more selective, it's like, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? How do I want to serve? Okay, I answer those questions is like, okay, who are the people that would make me aspire to have just 1 or 2 degrees of their awesomeness? That's who I'm going to spend time with because I can't help but grow. And so that's why y'all are you're on the list, Jennifer, Lacy, Adam, right? Like he's very responsible. He really cares about his words and how his words are going to impact people. He really likes structure. He really likes definition, and I can benefit from that. So that's why I pick Adam. Kim, very creative, forward thinking, helping me develop my social media mogulness. And without Kim in my life, the book that we're working on would not exist. The other book that I'm working on would not exist. A lot of the stuff that's happening right now, the way I'm showing up, that would not be the case. And so, and you, Jen, you and your folks out there, No BS Tribe, if you don't know this, when Jen and I are on the phone, I am the most creative I have ever been in my life. And it's like, we don't schedule like creativity calls. You're just talking. And oh my God, like we come up with stuff like, hold on, let me take it down, write notes. It's almost like, hold on, don't call me unless I got my mural board open so I can take notes. But we just come up with stuff and like, okay, let's do that. Boom. And then we do it. And then here we are. And here's another important element, like super, super important element. Those people, not only are they pouring into me, but they value me enough to let me pour back into them.
Yes.
Fundamental difference in a lot of people that I know is their vulnerability and trust to allow me to speak into their lives.
Yes.
Tremendous, tremendous. And so Will Sullivan says, we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Exactly. That is the principle we're looking at. So that's my answer, Jennifer Lacy. What about you?
Well, I think you said something, and I want to focus on it, and then I'll do the transition and I'll touch on mine. So you said I get to choose. And I think sometimes, like, there's 2 things to look, there's 2 ways to look at that. Is I get to choose who's around me, but also you get to choose. So like if something is taken away or something is that negative kind of very, something that it doesn't feel right, or it's like you and I talk about, it's kind of stinky. Like you get to choose to go, they served their purpose or they did what they needed to do. And now I can keep moving forward and they may be left behind. And that's not a bad thing. That's not. And I think we get so caught up in the emotional attachment of things sometimes. And, we don't want to hurt feelings or we don't. And again, those are things to think about. But also there are people in your lives at certain times and maybe they've served their purpose. And so it's okay. I read a book, like years and years ago, and it's called A Breakup Because It's Broken. And it's like this, it's a really cool book. And at the time I needed to read it. And it was so insightful because like it goes into all these things, like it's called a breakup, like you are now no longer with this person because it was broken. And we don't even, if we think about that from the connections we have, the personal connections, like we are separating from them because it's broken, because there's something that is causing us to not need to be there anymore. Like that doesn't seem like a big deal, but we struggle with that. So anyway, I just thought that was a huge piece you said. So my 5, and again, it's funny. So I'm going to take a page out of Kirby's book and I get to clarify how I define these. So I focused a lot on, mine was over the last year, I was able to hone in on that. And then I like rattled them off last time. And then I like did some, like I listened to it and I thought about it. And so I'm making one adjustment, but that's okay because it was there. I just don't think I said it right. So my 5 are, and again, thank you, Kirby, for giving me permission to do this. one of them is you and Adam. So you and Adam, I feel, are in the same place, and how you help me and how you show up, and the things we do together. And so I don't feel that I feel I can put y'all together as one of my people.
Cheater.
Kirby used one of hers as the tribe. So I can pretty much do anything. She's like,
fair enough.
Okay. So you and Adam. And then the other one was my brother. Yes, my brother. And those of you that watched our episode, you can know why, but he's just the person that I bounce everything off of. And again, I have 3 of them, and he knows that he's the one that we're that first phone call for each other when we're struggling, when we're rock bottom, when we're flying through the air. That's the person that is going to give me the most honest, true feedback. And again, first podcast I sent him to listen to, he goes, okay, Jennifer, so here's some things you need to work on, but I liked it. Like, so it's like, that's the real stuff I need. So I love him to death. So Brian, and then, this is like tough for me. So Keon Zandy, and those of you that know him, again, I appreciate Keon for so much. One, because I told Joe this earlier, it's like my claim to fame is I knew he and Joe before the book, but Keon has always been there. And he has, again, given me great feedback, helping me grow, helping me look at ways that I can continue to add value and to show up. And it's just looking at it from just whatever he can do to help me, answers my questions. So he is my 3rd one. My 4th one is Demetria Bivens. And I know I saw her on her earlier today, but she and I have been friends for a while, and just the paths that we've crossed together and where we've shown up together. And just, I love how she shows up, and she continues to just make an impact everywhere she goes. And I strive to be that. I strive to do that. When she leaves, sometimes there's like an earthquake in her wake. And sometimes it's like she's very gentle and she shows up and she does the things she needs to. But like, I look at her as an example of somebody that I want to continue to be like and to make the impact that she makes. And so I love you, Demetria. And the last one is I made a little bit of adjustment. It's my daughters. So I said Alex, but then the more I thought about it, they both, and it's not a cop-out, the way that I have to interact with them and the way that I have to adjust to communicate with them, to allow for some of those emotions or some of those things that they struggle with as 11 and 13-year-olds, help me be better when I show up in my relationships and in my connections and at work. Because I have to like stop and I have to listen more and I have to be a little bit more compassionate and I have to really think about how things are impacting them. And how do I adjust and how do I react to that? Because as a parent, you want to react and you want to like, you got to do this right and you got to do that. But you're like, okay, well, stop, like take in how they show up and what are they dealing with? And then how do I need to respond to that? And so doing that with my daughters has helped me be a better leader and a better person when I interact with other people, and being kind and being understanding. And so those are my, whatever you want to call it, my five categories of people that made the most impact on me.
Yes, totally counts. And so we got 13 minutes left. I'm going to drop this. We'll explain this in a second, but read that banner.
Yep.
So the other important element that I want to put out there for people is specifically around that most important person and the 5 people is also be aware that you're probably on those lists for somebody.
Yes.
So on both ends of this coin, if you're thinking of these people, let them know what they mean to you. And also, you got a responsibility, baby, because you're on somebody's list. And because you're on somebody's list, you got to show up and show out. And what that means is display the behaviors you seek. Be that person you are intended to be. Serve in the manner you are equipped and designed to serve. You own that, and like everything else is gravy.
Yes.
So what's this ticker thing we got at the bottom here, Jennifer?
Okay, so we're going to focus on that, and then we're going to transition and give you a little what's next for us. So Adam, Jesse, and I talk at 4 a.m. Central, 5 Eastern, twice a week. And so we've been doing it for different projects, or just because it's time for us to be able to kind of show up and talk, and here's what I have going on, or here's an issue I have. And so we have been doing that for almost 6 months. And we've realized that, again, that time and that space and what that gives us has made us better. Whether it's listening, whether it's asking questions, whether it's just being able to help and bring our expertise into some other, way sometimes we think about things. And so all three of us, have decided that one of those times we meet, which is Friday morning, we want to open it up. And so, again, it can't be like, we realize it's a very intimate conversation. But if you are interested to jump on a call on a Friday morning, again, it probably won't be more than like four or five people on the call. So it's not going to be anything crazy where you're going to have to compete with conversations. If at any point, it doesn't have to be if you're making no commitment, but if you can drop a coffee cup in the chat, then we'll reach out to you and we'll talk to you and we'll see what works, what doesn't, and all that. So again, no commitment, but if you're interested and you just want to have a conversation to see if it's something that you want to show up to, you're not making a weekly commitment. So if you'll do that, then we'll kind of know who's maybe open to it or wants to have a conversation about it, and we will follow up with you. So
boom. Bring us that coffee, baby.
Yeah, coffee cup. So again, I taught Jesse that this morning. In the comments, if you're on LinkedIn or on your computer and not on your phone, if you right click, it gives you the option to click on emojis, which is an option there, and it opens up all the emojis that you can pick from. So I know some of us are picking only from a small amount of people if you're on your computer, but that gives you the option to go and do things like orange hearts and coffee cups and stuff like that.
Yes, beautimus. And so we're going to have to talk about some other stuff, aren't we?
Yes, so that's what's next.
Oh, so we've been talking about it, and again, it's in response to the no BS contributors out there. We've talked about vulnerability. We started with 5S in relationships, which of course led us like, okay, vulnerability, this thing, owning your impact, identifying your impact, all of these beautiful things. And it's all been like peaches and cream. This is awesome. This is great. We'll move, we'll evolve and serve better, like wah, wah, wah. But there's a reality that we haven't talked about. And the reality is, it's a shift in behavior, and it's a shift in our thinking. It's not like all growth is painful, right? All change, whether it's positive or not, is disruptive. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to be talking about how that affects us personally, like just a singular human being, and how Jen has responded to it, how I have responded to it, or maybe deflected, all of the above.
Yes.
And also talk about how your people may respond. I'm going to be sharing my experience about when I started, changing, how nobody was throwing me a parade because they didn't trust it. And all of that stuff, right? And all of a sudden you start seeing people differently, and you start noticing things that are like, oh my, that's a person. I need to think about that. So that is where we're headed. What do you think, Jennifer?
So yes, I'm super excited because if we think about it, put it in a bigger perspective. So everything we focused on in the last 3 months has been self. How things have impacted us, how those people that, how we show up, everything like that is us internally. And so the shift, which is what we're calling our next series, is the shift is, again, you touched on the mindset, how your mindset's shifting a little bit and things like that, and how your interactions are shifting. But what we're going to focus on next is the outward piece. So we've been focused on the internal piece and all of those things, and how we can make sure we're ready. We have our armor, we have our things, we're ready to be where we're supposed to be, but we don't have a lot of control on the things outside of us. So when we're talking about that shift, we're now starting to talk about those external factors and those external interactions that play into how we show up, how we talk, how we feel, how we give, how we take, things like that. And so that's going to be the focus. And we don't know how many and how long and all that stuff, because what's the next right thing? The next right thing is to show up and start talking about this, and we'll see where it goes. But again, the external factors that play into our impact, the way that we show up, it both of them play into it. And so that's the shift we're making, to really start focusing on those outside things, which Jesse and I've talked about this. This one it can get a little stinky, because you're having to call out some things and you're having to make some decisions that impact people. And that sometimes can be a little scary, uncomfortable, and sometimes it can hurt people's feelings.
Yes. And that's what it is, right? So, man, we're going to be drowning in coffee, Jennifer. We got a whole bunch of coffee cups up in the chat. Thank you all.
Yes.
We got the Clubhouse after party starting here in about 10 minutes. So 9:20 a.m. Central. The link is in the chat. Mm-hmm. And I managed to get it in the Facebook chat, the LinkedIn chat, and the YouTube chat. And if you didn't know, we do have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
So please subscribe. We would appreciate that. And if not, we love you being here, like, all the way around.
And all of our episodes, again, both ways. You can go to the No BS page on LinkedIn, and that does give you, like, you can go scroll through and you can find all the different episodes from the 5S stuff's not on that one.
There's a link to it.
Okay. But also, if you go to YouTube and you go to the No BS with Jim and Jess YouTube channel, everything's there.
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yes.
All the 5S and relationships, and also all of our episodes that led up to where we are right now.
You got it. To where, and again, the operative word there is we.
Yes.
All of us. And, I want to honor Mr. Hal Maycomer and his vulnerability of what he's sharing, like serious real life stuff, right? Hal says, being more selective, take the others too. Since the passing of my wife, my 3 people I spend the most time with are my 3 sons by far. And the person I wish was number 1 isn't even on the list. Like, that's what we're talking about, people. Like, we're all carrying burdens. We're all living through some pain with a smile painted on our face. And we don't have to. Like, we can grieve with each other. We can support each other. And Hal, I appreciate you putting that out there and sharing that with the world, with the Omniverse. And I respect you deeply, sir. Thank you for that.
Yes.
And then we got some lyrics cooking up. Mr. Steve Martin says, then we share and discuss what's been coming back to us. A reflection of the ease to throw caution to the breeze. Hashtag and live. One last shout out, y'all. Please hit up Adam Hoots on the LinkedIn and all the things, and celebrate his amazing speech that he gave at TED Talks at Clemson. Love you all. Looking forward to the next one. Jen, closing thought?
Yes. One, we've had some new people on today. We've had some new names on there that haven't been on there. So please, it's recorded. You can go back and look later, find them, like them, look at their content, make sure that you look at their stuff. Those of you that are on this time that weren't on last time, if you drop a green heart into the chat, we have a No BS tribe message group. We call it a pod. And so anybody that drops a green heart in this specific live stream, because you have to listen to the whole thing before you can do it, we will add you to that group. And it's up to about 25, maybe 30 people. And anytime we share a post focusing on people, focusing on elevating people, shining a light on people, and just in the amazing things we're doing in an industry, you can drop your post in there. You can have conversations with other tribe members. But you kind of have this little place that you get to do that all by yourself. So if you're listening and you get all the way through and you want to be added to that group, green heart in the comments, and we will add you. And you'll be able to see all the amazing stuff that's happening in there.
Yes. And I want to shout out to Steve Martin and Terry Proffer. They both dropped links in the chat. I'm assuming one is to the YouTube channel. Terry dropped the link to the podcast that we talked about earlier that Anson Green's got going on, Behind Every Employer, which is about workforce development.
Yep.
And Will, again, have a fantastic weekend, y'all. We're fixing to jump on to the after party. The link is in the chat. We can talk, ask questions, roast Jennifer. That would be my preferred thing to do.
No.
No?
No. But I did. Again, if you didn't listen to the last one, I want to be clear, and because we're transparent and vulnerable here. The pod that we've created for the No BS Tribe is not broadcast and share all of your stuff that has to do with your work and the things you're doing if it's not focused on people. So again, I just got to give it out there. We will be nice as we can be, but it's about people and it's about connecting with people. So please understand there's other pods out there for that. We want to make sure that we are elevating and really connecting with the people in this group.
Love it, Jen. Beautifully and eloquently said. And with that, we'll close, people.
Yes.
Peace.
Thank y'all so much for showing up today.
Ooh, ooh.